Good morning. Today is the 21st of March 2024 and I'm going to go through the levels for today. Before we start, let's look at the news. Let's open up TradingView. Big reaction yesterday to FOMC, and we had some news this morning, I believe, 8:30. 2 out of 3, so it wasn't massively market moving, but there's some. But we've got news also at 9:45 to keep an eye on. PMI 10 AM, and then we've got Fed speaking today at 12, so just keep an eye on those times. Okay, so let's go into the futures charts. So we're looking at the S&P 500 E-mini futures. This is the 1 hour time frame, and there's basically only 2 levels, so it'll be a quick one today. Firstly, I'm waiting for a pullback. Really hard to go long up here. It's so extended, all-time highs, up in no man's land, and we really need a pullback. So there's only be 1 of 2 ways I'll be going along today. Excuse me. That's if we come all the way back down into this area, and we've got an area of support. So this used to be a demand zone, but now it's a it used to be a supply zone, now it's a demand zone. So let's just change the colour so we can keep it consistent with everything else. So I'll be looking for a bounce around 52.50 through to 52.60 area, this area here. So that's the only entry I can see. If the market decides to pull forward, put in a new all-time high, then the only other long I want to take will be the pullback into the pre-market high, which is this area here, and then for a long. But that's going to be more of a scalp long, because I don't really know how to play pre-market highs. I prefer to play levels with defined hourly levels, and this is an excellent hourly level back down here. So we've got a pivot here, pivot here. We kind of tested this area a few times here as well, so we need to come back into that area. Potentially we've got this trend line as well, this blue line coming up, and we've got the 200, zoom in a bit, and we've got this purple line which is the rise in 200, so potentially we've got this coming into the same area by the time we get there as well. So that's basically my play, that's my only levels for today. Let's look at SPY next. Very similar, even better defined than ES. We've got 2 pivots here, major hourly level, and so if we come back down into that area, so 518, 517.90 to 518, we'll look for a bounce. Potentially we've got 520, yesterday's high, for a bounce, but I'm not a big fan of that. And then if we can break over the pre-market high, we can look for a break and retest. And that's it. Obviously we've got the levels in yesterday as well we can watch. So yesterday's low, but there's nothing else really I can see. NASDAQ hasn't quite made all-time highs unlike ES and SPY. And the only level I can see is a pullback into these areas, and that is going to be at 18,613. Similar to, it's the same levels as yesterday, nothing's changed, but a better level would be if we pull right back into yesterday's low at 18,500, coming off that pivot, bottoms of these pivots as well, and I quite like that for a bounce. And if we're going to make all-time highs, we've got to look for the break and retest over the pre-market high level. Looking at Qs next. Qs is at a double top. NASDAQ's not quite at all-time highs, no. So Qs is looking slightly stronger. Look at this for a trend line break. We broke it, came back, retested it, and it's only gone up since. I'll get rid of that now, I'm not interested. Hopefully somebody took it. So we've got this all-time high here, and we're kind of at the pre-market high area, so break and retest of all-time high long. Again, it's higher risk like all the others, it's going into no man's land. 450's got to be a decent target, and maybe that's a rejection area, as it's a psychological number. And then the only bounce I can see is if we get down to yesterday's high, which is tops of these pivots, bottoms of these pivots, bottoms of these pivots, and so 440 to 445 long. Also, is there any psychological numbers? Not there. And we've got 5300 we've broken as well. Yeah, no, 5300 is still a bit too tight for a bounce. We haven't got volume till we get back down here, so there's not much volume up here. Look at this, hardly any volume. This is back to the ES. Same as SPY, not much volume above these levels. It's all pre-market volume. SPX, 5200 bounce. If we break through 5200, then we can watch yesterday's this area 52, 5180, 5185 for some bounces. This is quite a defined area here. That's it for SPX. If it does get down to 5200, or if it gets down to 51800, 5180, then I'll be looking for a bounce, probably on the ES. How about this for a breakout? We've been watching this for some time. It broke out. That's the breakout yesterday. Gold just has loads of volume, even throughout the day, even during the post-market and pre-market. We're kind of coming into this area. Do we have anything to find up there? Putting in this bit of a bear flag. So we could probably join the dots together, something like that. A break above this area, a retest, and then the long. Ooh. We can watch for that's on the daily. We're looking at the weekly chart at the moment. Always like to go with a higher time frame so you can see where we are. Let's just put in some trend lines. Kind of there, you know, we touched it, we're broken through it right now if you look at it now closely. So break and retest this trend line. Just go into the hourly again. So, look at that, so we don't need that anymore. So kind of in that area, we could look for a bit of a pullback into yesterday's high for long. And then we've broken that pivot right now, maybe break and retest a pre-market high, but gold's looking good, really decent for a breakout. Look at that. Next is oil, crude oil, kind of broken down through that structure, the trend line, come back, retest. I can see a bounce at 80, same as levels as before, or we can look for a reject at the pre-market high, but we can also look for a break and retest long, but it's kind of broken the trend line, come back, hasn't quite retested up here. I really want to see a retest before it comes down, but we can look for a break and retest on this area long, or we can look for a rejection, and that's at 82. So keep an eye on 82 and 18 for oil. RTY, look at that for a breakout. Coming into a bounce area of these pivots. So kind of right now, 2100 through to that moving average. So kind of like this area for a bounce, which will be 2100 to 2102. Look at that, it trailed it before FOMC yesterday, and then FSC broke it out. Rejection wise, this area here, I'm basically looking at the tops of these pivots. Area, tops of these areas, and then yesterday's high, pre-market high. So break and retest of the pre-market high, or 2118, or we can watch for the bounce down here, 2087. I think the better bounce will be if we come down to the 2075 area. So we've broken it, we want to come back down and retest it to continue the trend. YM kind of broke through every level yesterday. So the only level we can watch is these two. So we're watching for a retest of 39,800, 39,760, this area here, and then more recent pivots 39,700, 39,675, this area here. So same levels we had as on yesterday. And that's it really. Just quickly look at Bitcoin. Look at that for an engulfing pattern. It engulfed the previous red candle. We're in a downtrend still, hourly downtrend. Hard to take anything on Bitcoin right now. The only bounce area is potentially there, but all there. And that's it. Let's just quickly go to ES, see if it's changed in the last few minutes. No, let's recap the levels again. So with ES, I'm watching for a bounce down in this area of demand, which was yesterday's supply zone, and that's around 50 to 52.60, so these two areas. And I'm looking for a higher risk break and retest of the pre-market high. And like I said, we're going into all-time highs at that point and no man's land. But we could do with a really decent pullback. So maybe we could watch yesterday's high for a higher risk bounce, and that would be 52.90 through to even 5300, psychological number. Let's just mark it off. Pre-market low. We can watch that area for a bounce or break and retest. So they're the only two areas really to watch. I don't need to mark off yesterday's high because that gets marked off for me with this indicator. And that's it. Okay, thank you for watching. After this I'll enable the order flow live stream as well, and that gives you a decent insight into each candle, shows you where there's volume in over price rather than we're seeing volume over time down here. Order flow, which I'll flick over to quickly, gives you volume on for each candle. So I flick between the 5-minute footprint and the 10 range. If we've got big moving days, then I will flip over to the 10 range. But I look at both, and I'm watching. These are the two main charts I look at when I come to a reversal. Looking at cumulative delta divergence. This is interesting to see right now actually. So we've got the price, it's increasing, kind of going down, but when we put these last two pivots together, if we join those two together, that's going up. We join these two together, that's coming down. And while we're going sideways, the price is coming down, so potentially we're going to be seeing a bit of a sell-off maybe. That kind of gives you an early warning sign. And so maybe we can watch pre-market high for rejection. So clicking back to the main screen, that one there. So if the price is still increasing and the cumulative deltas means we're getting more aggressive sellers coming into the market, we can look for a potential rejection down here. So let's just make a quick revision to the plan. Watch pre-market high for two things: break and retest long with confirmation, or rejection short, and that's with confirmation as well. So I'm basically the confirmation I'm looking for, big amount of limit orders being triggered, and then kind of the divergence we just seen going in the opposite direction to the price. And there's a few other little things I look for as well, like minimal buyers up in the top range, mainly sellers, and heavy selling. So I'm going to add that into the plan as well based on what we've just seen on the order flow, and that's why I like using order flow, because it just gives you clues of what's going to happen before it happens. It may not happen. I'm still working out whether pre-market and market open 9:30 divergence significantly affects, but from what I've seen over the last couple of months I've been using it, there's usually a telltale sign even when the market seems to be going up or like yesterday, the market was kind of selling off a little bit, but the divergence was just increasing. And then obviously we saw that big day yesterday, so need to pay more attention to it really and trust my gut and my feelings on that. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll stream this next. Okay.